crowd, but I only see your face in all the lights. And as the bass keep pounding on me, baby, I really wanna make you mine. I don't really care about love, I don't really care about happy ever afters. Something about you gives me hope, something about you, yeah. When the sun goes down and the night sky's falling, do you believe in one-time lovers? 'Cause deep inside of my wildest dreams, you'll be by my side when the sun goes down. City dancing through the night, but I'm not there. You've got me soaring in the clouds, and as the ocean is surrounding me, baby, I'm sure we lost track of time. I don't really care about love.
Okay, hi and welcome to another tutorial. I was about to say vlog then out of habit. Today I'm going to go through the Orton Effect and what the Orton Effect does for your images. You've probably heard it a few times with people processing their images, and I'm just going to run through the way that I do it and how quick and simple it is to really produce this sort of unique look. Now what it does, it sort of softens the image a little bit, which is great for when you're doing landscape and you've got plenty of flowers and trees and things like that. It just really gives a lot more texture to the image. Not so great on when you've got buildings or rocks or anything like that in the image as well. So I'm going to sort of do the Orton Effect, and then I'll show how to sort of remove it from the rocks. It's a simple way really. So this is kind of the next stage really that I process my images from the last tutorial I did, where I went through the basics of Lightroom. Right, okay, we'll jump in the computer now and I'll show you what we do. Now I'm going to use this example I've got here of an image I took last night on our hourly walk through our lockdown. So this was a panorama shot. I just went out with my D7200 and the 50mm lens and just took a series, I think this is about 10 or 12 images across, just of the cooling towers in Warrington that are no longer used. They're actually due to be demolished in the near future. So I thought, yeah, great opportunity to have a look and sort of just take a couple of images of them really. I'm just going to take this image. It's already kind of processed. I've not done too much for a processing on it. It's kind of quite a simple shot, but I just want to sort of use it just to show what the Orton Effect does. Now the foreground, you've got the flowers here right across, which give a nice bit of foreground interest, and then moving on to the sort of rapeseed field across here with the greens and the yellows, and then moving on to the main structure. Now the problem with doing the Orton Effect, it will soften the image down, so the cooling towers here will also become very soft as well. They're fairly sharp at the moment. Now we want to try and keep that sharpness within the image. So I'll run through the Orton Effect and then how we remove it from certain parts of the image, and yeah, hopefully you'll be able to learn from this. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is from Lightroom is we go into Photo, Edit in Adobe Photoshop 2020. We'll convert this image across. Okay, we now have it in Photoshop. What we need to do is add a layer. So in the Mac, it's Shift Option Command N, Shift Option Command E, and that will add a layer onto our image. Now the trick is now to completely destroy this image, and the way we do it is Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and then round about 25 to 30. Because this is a pano shot and a number of images together, the megapixel count is massive, so I can probably stretch going on to 30. If you're using just a normal image, probably around about 25 pixels will be ideal. But because it's a panorama, lots of detail in there, we'll ramp it up to 30. Okay, click OK. Wait for that to process. Okay, right. Now the next stage is we go into Image, Adjustments, and then Levels, and from here we just really have a bit of a play with it, and we just completely just brighten the image to really blow those highlights out so it's almost unrecognizable. And then with the darks, just slide that across as well, really bring the darks across just so it looks, yeah, really over processed. and that with the blur as well, you can hardly tell what the image was. So just click OK when we're happy with that. Okay, we're now left with this image that's completely horrendous. Now leave everything else the way it is, so the blending mode as normal, and all we do is the occupancy here is just slide it across just to round about, well, we'll do it at 5 and then we'll move it up slightly to see how we're looking. I tend to never do this any more than 10, so 10 is probably the maximum. Now if we just have a look here, just have a look around the image now. So if we click the before, we can see it's all fairly sharp around here. So I'm just going to zoom in to about 100%. Okay, so that's all very sharp. Now when we click it on, it's a lot softer, but there's a lot more tone as well. So it just gives that sort of a little, just sort of gives that little bit of a more natural look. Now the foreground was purposely left out of focus. I just wanted to really emphasize this when I did the image last night. Just sort of how the distance really, probably how big these cooling towers are. So just sort of add a little bit more depth into the image is what I was looking for. So yeah, the cooling towers have also softened as well, which we'll bring those back in a moment. But if we just have a look around the image, so we'll just do the before here. Yeah, very sharp. And then that just adds a little bit of texture. So let's have a look at the towers again. Again, before and after. So what we want to do is just bring the towers a little bit more detail into those. Now I'm going to keep it zoomed in. I'm going to probably zoom out a little bit more to probably about 70%. Great. Okay, from here I'm just going to add a mask on. Get the paintbrush tool and quite simply just convert that to black. Black will bring it back to the original image. White leaves it as it is. So if you want to paint, if you've gone too far, you can paint it back with the white. So with the black, just very slightly, just paint over the cooling towers. And because this is very subtle, and again, this is how I process most of my images, is just subtlety all the way. You may not notice a full difference, but you can just sort of see a little bit of detail coming back in the brickwork or the concrete of the cooling towers. And then just again, just there. Just ever so slightly, just over there. And then across. Just trying to leave those bushes alone, because ideally anything that's sort of a natural, yeah, I think that's probably the key, is anything that's natural really sort of benefits from the Orton effect. Anything that's man-made, so any structures, things like that, don't. Yeah, we just need to try and keep the sharpness in this side of the image really, or this start of the image. You can just see as I've stitched these images together, just see a bit of an overlap around here on the towers. But that's fine. I'm quite happy with that. It's not going to be one of my images that are going to be used on anything apart from this tutorial. So there we go. That's all the buildings that are sharpened back up. Quite happy with the way that looks. We'll just zoom out again, just to 25. So we've got the before, and then we've got the after. So it just gives a bit of a glow really to the image, and really just sort of makes the image pop a little bit more. And yeah, just removes a lot of the detail out of the foreground and out a lot of the wild grasses here, and just makes it a little bit more, probably more of a dreamy look really. So yeah, that's the way that I do the Orton effect. So that's the Orton effect. Hope you've learned something from this. It's something that I apply to most of my images, and it just gives that little bit more of a pop to certainly the grasses and trees and shrubs and flowers as well. So yeah, quite a useful tool there. Again, Hope you're all okay, certainly with this lockdown. These images I've taken are obviously very basic, they're just sort of quick snaps as I've gone along. I just obviously need to get out with the camera and just take a shot. There'll be more tutorials to come on this channel. Please like, please subscribe, and yeah, leave a comment. And yeah, if you have any more questions about the Orton Effect and how to process it, or if you have any difficulties, give me a shout, and yeah, I'll try and help you as much as I can. From me, from Warrington, on a rather wet and miserable day, on another day of lockdown, on a day off. Bye now.